Hello, my name is Corey Scholl, and today I'll be showing off a game that I made in the Unity editor called The Useless Fort. I made this during a level design class for Full Sail University, and it has shown me a lot of different things on how to use Unity editors and game development editors in general. I just want to show off the project. You start off, and there's a prompt that describes the objectives of the game, of the level. Camera scroll, there's a mini-map, and of course the textured path and trees with collision. The path is surrounded on both sides by water. It's pretty shallow, you can fall into them, but as the elevation rises later in the level, I found that it's hard for players to find their way back onto the path, so I added some elevation into the terrain. Some lights cast shadows. And as you can see on the minimap, the player icon moves with the player, and as we progress to the level, see how the elevation changes. Now if we were to fall off, it'd be a little bit harder to get back onto the path. Now in the center of the level there is a door that's locked. If you go up to the door and try to interact with it, nothing will happen because in order to open the door you need 3 keys. Of course I use component-based development scripting to make sure that the components that were associated with each of the game objects, the keys, and the door were linked, of course. There's the plateau that the main house is located on. More lights. These lights give the player direction along the path since I added a fog, a clear black fog to give a little to the atmosphere of the game, create a little bit of a mystery to, if you see the whole level, sometimes it's a little underwhelming. This way, the player explores and sees the world render relatively close to where they're standing, which makes the world seem a little bit bigger. Of course, running into them removes the game object from the world, and ends the looping animation as well. And these trees were all added using the terrain component in the Unity editor. These were not manually added one by one. Though I did have to adjust and remove some trees from the player path since the trees are added randomly, and sometimes they would land on the actual textured path. Now the looping animation for all the keys is of course the same to keep with consistency, make sure the player knows that they all have the same function. Also the light moves up and down, the light source that is associated with the key moves up and down with the key. So it makes the key look like it's the actual object with actual light reflecting off of it. And all the keys are different looking just for aesthetic reasons. And again, if I was to fall off, it's a pretty big fall down to the water. Now normally the player would be stuck here underwater, but again they can find their way back up to the plateau by finding the elevation, which in this case is all the way back at the start. Now rarely I can figure out how to add lighting underwater. That is something I hope to learn in the next couple weeks or months. Now, figuring out how to do component-based design with this level was the hardest challenge. The scripting, figuring out how they'll interact, of Of course, the door and the interface were also hard to figure out how to interact. Most of my programming experience leading up to this point was very simple JavaScript-based game design, making Frogger, very simple. So figuring out how to make game objects and components interact with each other in a way that added to the whole level was pretty challenging with this class, and I had to spend about 2 months figuring out how to do it, and it was a good experience. Very glad I had the opportunity. Now we're just moving along the textured path up to the middle of the level. Over here you can see the game exit point. It's not very clear that this is the game exit point, but now if I try, this is the door. If I had tried to open this earlier, it would not have opened if I did not gather the 3 keys first. And it says down in the instructions, inside is treasure, and to claim it you must find 3 keys placed around the plateau. You will not be able to open the door without all 3 keys. So the player does know that they can't open the door until they find all 3 keys before they reach the door. And then they walk up to the door, use the E button to open the door, and the animation runs. And of course, the door can be closed again using E, as long as the player is in the trigger volume. And again, there's the objective, the treasure, the looping animation, and the light source attached to it as well. Enter the trigger, and the game now knows that my player avatar has an objective count of 1. Now, if I walk over to the final objective and enter the trigger collision for it, nothing happens because the demand for it to have 2 objectives. Again, so down in the instructions it says after you've collected both treasures, leave the area by stepping on the teleportation pad. If you step on the teleportation pad before you have both objectives, nothing will happen. But if you have both objectives, then the game will end. The game won't end just by quitting the application. It will send the player back to the main menu, at which point they can then choose to play again or to quit the game. And that's it. That's everything. It's a very simple game, but again, it was a very good learning experience, and I learned a lot about component-based design and scripting, and I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Thank you.